What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another installment of the FitBod Blueprint. As always, Coach Phil Pirtle and Tyler Wiebe. How you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm still getting used to these cold days here in Middle Tennessee, but I'd imagine I have nothing to complain about with highs in the 40s and 50s compared to you.
Yeah, we got nice frosty mornings now, high of 6 Celsius. So, that's low 40s for all you Americans out there.
Oh, man, we've been having frost on our vehicles, and it took that initial moment of like, wait, don't pour water on it, just run the defroster.
Yeah.
And I tried the trick of cat litter in a sock sitting on the dashboard.
Okay.
And that actually worked.
Okay. You know what? As long as it's clean cat litter. But yeah, I might have to try that.
For next time, I'll try clean. I'll see if it has the same effect.
That might be a little bit better. Yeah, you're not in Florida anymore.
No, that is for sure. But everything's going really well. So as we're starting to get a little bit closer to Christmas time, and beginning of the year, this is a really busy, really crazy, hectic season for a lot of people. And whenever stress goes up like this, it's normal that I hear a lot of people say, man, coach, my sleep has just become absolute garbage. What about you? Is that something that a lot of people report?
Yeah. Sleep and stress, that tends to be a very common thing. And so, I think today's topic is going to be great. And just, talking about sleep and how to get some better sleep because, I'm sure we'll kind of get into this, but, I think it's still one of the more underrated aspects of someone's progress, someone's, overall recovery, and just how important it is, whether you're trying to lose body fat or just trying to build muscle and feel better.
Right. And sleep is also going to be something that gets overlooked whenever it comes to people's decision-making processes. A tired brain is not a brain that's making a sharp decision. A tired brain is not one that is pretty clear, pretty level. So what we utilize here at FitBod Institute is something called the 3-2-1 method for better sleep. What we want to really focus on with this is setting ourselves up for the best possible scenario before we even go to bed. So here's the nitty gritty, the nuts and bolts of it. 3 hours before bed, stop eating. 2 hours before bed, stop drinking water. And 1 hour before bed, eliminate or at least reduce your blue light exposure. So let's go ahead and dive into the 3 hours before bed. We stop eating. And why does this matter? So eating close to bedtime can spike insulin and blood sugar. This can disrupt your body's natural rhythm for winding down. Digestion can also interfere with your ability to enter deep sleep or restorative sleep. I don't want people to hear this and go, okay, well, I've got to be fasted for a set amount of time. No, this is just strictly about, hey, you're trying to set a rhythm, you're trying to set a schedule. And this starts a lot of my clients' bedtime routines for them. And this also helps to kind of shore up and solidify that you are following a bedtime routine. Because whenever you make that commitment of, okay, 3 hours from now, I'm going to bed, you're now setting up more likelihood that you follow through with making sure that I'm getting to bed on time. Because in this day and age of streaming, it can be really easy to get caught up on a marathon, or there's a new show that you're watching, or if you're like me, you get sucked into a really good book, it can be hard to put something down. So I like setting this rule of 3 hours before bed, let's just stop eating. There's not a magical time of like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. because with the way time zones work, if you lived in a border town, like the reference I always make is, I think it's called Columbus, Georgia. Small town in Georgia, but you're like 20 minutes from the central time zone. So you can literally take a 20-minute drive and be an hour back. It's not that there's like a magic cutoff time, like 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Just base it off of what time do you know realistically you need to get to bed each night to get a solid 7-8 hours of sleep. For me, I know I need to be in bed and I need to be ready to go to sleep at about 9. So I'll usually set that 3-hour window for myself at 6 p.m.
Yeah, same here. And I think it's all, just one quick important note here, because I do get this question still a lot. We're not talking about stopping eating because you're going to be gaining body fat after a certain time. Like I still get that question a lot. So I did want to just throw that out there, because I know we also mentioned that insulin spike. A lot of people still think insulin spike, fat gain, that type of stuff. So I think we're just an important thing to touch on there. But yeah, I think it's just so important to make sure that we are getting that good sleep. And, even if you are someone who trains maybe a little bit later in the evening, we're still going to be okay getting a little bit of food in. We still want to make sure we have that post-workout meal for recovery. But like you mentioned, if we are just having this massive meal before bed, you are going to disrupt that sleep pattern, because your body is trying to, one, shut down for sleep, right? Like a lot of our processes, they just kind of go into hibernation mode. And so if it's trying to digest this big meal plus put you into that hibernation mode, you are just going to have that disrupted sleep, which, you kind of mentioned, maybe that next day we do wake up feeling a little bit more groggy, a little bit more tired. Our decision-making is not as sharp as it typically is. And I know we've kind of talked about in our first podcast about setting block scheduling, right? And really trying to find that time for your training. I think this really starts to now go hand in hand with that of, okay, we're starting to be a little bit more regimented with our lifestyle, okay? We're setting that block scheduling for our training. We're setting that, block scheduling essentially for our nighttime routine. And it's starting to kind of now build on top of each other, right? We're habit stacking, which, hey, we're going to be talking about atomic habits in our Facebook group here on Friday, and we're going to be going through some of that kind of stuff. And so not only are we just now trying to set ourselves up for success in terms of sleep, but now we're really starting to look at a lot of lifestyle changes, because you're right. Like it is very easy for people just to stay up till 11, 12, 1, whatever it might be. And we're losing out on a lot of benefits there. And so as we're starting to really look at some of these things of, okay, how can we make just even small changes, right? These don't have to be big changes. How can we make these small changes to just start to improve our overall lifestyle and our health? I mean, I think sleep is probably one of the most important things to our overall health in just the longevity and quality of life.
Yeah. And not only is sleep whenever your muscles are repairing, but it's also when your brain is repairing. And you're going to actually burn more calories sleeping than you are just sitting on a couch anyways. Another point that I like my clients to understand, because it's one thing to hear this and to go, yeah, okay, that's what I should do. But sometimes it's also nice to understand some of the why behind something, like why are you doing whatever protocol it is. So whenever you have a heavy meal, they can actually increase body temperature. It's a slight elevation, but you'd be surprised at what the smallest difference of body temperature can do in terms of sleep quality. Think about even the difference of, hey, if you're walking around at 98 degrees for a body temperature, think about the 2-degree difference of going to 100. Suddenly now you feel terrible, you're truly sick, like you're probably staying home from work. So we want to make sure that we're keeping those body temperatures low in the evening. And then also, if we're having a meal too close to bedtime, if our insulin levels are elevated, it can actually reduce melatonin production, which is going to be this is the hormone that's responsible for sleep regulation. So in terms of like, hey, how do you implement this, right? So practical tip, have your last meal 3 to 4 hours before bedtime. Again, if you're setting your bedtime at 9 p.m., try to have dinner sometime between 5 and 6. Focus on making sure that last meal is pretty well balanced, which you should be doing anyways, regardless of if you're adhering to a 3-hour window or not. But make sure that you've got protein, you've got healthy fats, you've got some complex carbs on there. And for the digestion thing, just to circle it back, touching on complex carbs, like, man, I'm pretty big on beans. I love my frijoles. It is very often that I will have some type of bean with my dinner. The last thing I want to do is have the fun that comes with beans,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
like, hey, I'm going
Dutch oven for Dutch oven for your partner.
Yeah, exactly. So that wraps up the 3. Now let's get into 2 in the 3-2-1 method, which is 2 hours before bed. We want to stop drinking water. And I feel like this one's kind of obvious, but I also know a lot of people will kind of slack in their day with drinking their water. That's why in our Facebook group, we do a Thirsty Thursday just to kind of keep everyone accountable. So it's, hey, what's your water goal? Show that you're drinking it. But a lot of people will fall behind and then they see that goal and it's like, oh man, it's 5 o'clock at night and I've still got half of my water goal to get to, whether that's 80 ounces, 100 ounces, 140, 160, like whatever that is. People can fall behind. And now if you're trying to cram in 40, 50, 60, 70 ounces of water with just a few hours before bed, you're going to be up all night peeing. And that has nothing to do with how old or young you are. That has to do with you just drank a bunch of water right before bed.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, maybe it's pretty self-explanatory, but you just don't want to disrupt your sleep as much as possible. Like you're going to have, certain cycles throughout the night that your body is going through, and you're getting into, and, hearkening back to my days in, physiology class, it's like wave 1, wave 2, then you get into your REM and you cycle throughout the night, throughout those phases. And I mean, if you're having to get up a couple times a night to pee, you're actually, maybe you are getting the 8 hours. Not only do we want to look at quantity, but like quality is going to be more important, right? Like ultimately that's kind of what we're after. And I mean, if someone gets great quality sleep at 6 hours and they're good there, then awesome. Some people need 8, some people need 9. Everyone's going to be a lot different in terms of how much they need, but it really is going to come down to that quality of sleep. And so I think that's something that we just want to make sure that we're staying on top of. And, I don't think like, hey, if you want to have a little bit of water, like I think experiment a little bit with yourself, to kind of see what works best for you. But I think the main idea here is, we don't want to be slamming 60 ounces of water 2 hours before bed, because then you are most likely going to be up throughout the night. And so all of this is just kind of like, all right, like I just need to pay a little bit more attention to my habits, during the day. And just to kind of quick come back to the 3 hours, I mean, that's a great opportunity. A lot of people like to snack at night, right? That's a lot of people's downfall. And so if we're setting that like, all right, 3 hours, boom, I am not going to eat. Great. Maybe we've eliminated an extra 300 calories you've been consuming during the day. Maybe that's enough to create a deficit right there. Now we come into this. Guess what? Now we're getting better sleep. We're going to have better fat loss production. We're going to have better recovery. Your training sessions are going to be better. You're making sure you're getting enough water throughout the course of the rest of the day, because we now have this habit set. So yeah, it's going to be something that is just going to allow you to just be better overall.
I believe the term is nocturia, which is just peeing at night. So that's going to be something that it's a top leading cause for sleep disturbances. And like Tyler was saying, if we can eliminate that just by getting better timing on our water intake, we're going to get better sleep cycles, because we don't want to disrupt REM and deep sleep. And we don't want to, I don't know about you, but man, I get up in the middle of the night every single time. My dog thinks suddenly that it's breakfast, and it's like, Ruby, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, chill. Yeah. You got 3.5 hours, girl.
Yeah. My disrupted sleep is Quinn going, Daddy, I'm thirsty. I need water. All right, here you go.
Yeah. Jesse is our juice fiend.
Okay.
So for him, it's, Daddy, I want juice at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So, again, though, it's just to go off of what you just said. It's one thing to keep a little cup of water by your bed, because that's what I do. I actually keep 2 now, one for Jesse, one for me, just to be like, all right, here you go. It's just a little like mouthwash cup. But if you ever get that like dry mouth middle of the night and you're like, man, I don't want to drink, I don't want to get up, go to the kitchen, get a cup of water, drink it, and have to walk back upstairs, that little tiny bit, like it's not going to throw you off. And if it's going to help you get back to sleep quicker, then keep it by your bed. But the general rule here that we're doing, and again, we're just setting systems in place for success. That's what this is all about, is just set systems in place for success, is making sure that we're staying hydrated. So the practical application for this comes back to try to front load your day with your water. And this is where I use a non-negotiable system for myself. I don't allow myself to have the first cup of coffee until I've drank 20 ounces of water. I keep a 40-ounce tumbler as my main vessel. And until I've reached half of that, I don't allow myself to have coffee. Start off my day hydrated. Already there's my daily water goal is 120 ounces. Boom. There's, 20 something percent. Like, it
done.
gets me where I need to be. So,
and just one quick thing, maybe before we move on to the next one, or unless you had something else to say on the water.
No.
Okay. Well, the other thing, and maybe keep this in mind, is for front loading, hydration drives muscle contraction, right? And so if we want to think about front loading, think about your training session and trying to be as hydrated as possible. That's going to equal a much better training session. I mean, if someone's, we're coming into peak week, if we kind of look at an extreme example and we're going into show day, we're trying to fill that person up with as much water as possible, right? You almost really can't overload water on show day, because that is really going to drive that muscle contraction, so that person looks their absolute best on stage, and we can easily extrapolate that into our training sessions. And so if we want to have those really good training sessions, front load that water. Like, my non-negotiable is having about 80 ounces of water before my training session. So I'm already, my goal is typically anywhere from 120 to 160. So again, like, having that non-negotiable of getting at least 80 ounces of water, I'm essentially halfway done before like 11 o'clock in the day. So that can also be a little bit of a motivational factor to really try and front load that water in the course of a day.
You get a good pump and you go, "Ooh, that's so good.
Yeah,
I look
good.
I feel good." Yeah.
Then it goes away and you're like, I don't look good.
So that brings us to what, in my opinion, is probably the biggest driver in this. And that is 1 hour before bed, because what you do in that last hour, it's going to be what either makes you or breaks you. Because if in that last hour, you're breaking any of these non-negotiables, you're not setting yourself up for that optimal success. You're not setting yourself up to where whenever you set a goal for yourself, it becomes normal that you break fewer and fewer of those promises that you're making to yourself. But 1 hour before bed, eliminate or at least reduce any blue light exposure. So blue light comes from screens, TVs, tablets, or phones, and this can suppress melatonin production. This makes it harder to fall asleep. Your brain interprets blue light as daylight, so this is going to disrupt your circadian rhythm. So blue light in nature is found early on in the day and throughout the day. But whenever you go giving your eyes that false stimulus of here's blue light, it's going to keep your brain churning. It's going to keep it so that it's not producing that melatonin. So for me, I will always tell people, I'm human too. There are absolutely some nights that I just want to be able to watch Monday Night Football, or I want to be able to watch, we just started watching Landman with Billy Bob Thornton.
Okay.
Sure, I want to be able to watch that stuff. And I might only get one episode of something. That's usually about all that I watch for TV, is like one episode of something. So you either want to try to eliminate blue light, or you want to try to get something that's going to at least filter it out. So I know we've got several people that listen to the show that maybe you're like me, you're not necessarily the most tech savvy person in the world, but on pretty much any phone that's been made in the last 5 years, you should have a nightlight mode in your phone. And if you don't know where to find it, pop on over to YouTube University, type in your phone model and search nightlight mode or sleep mode or evening mode or blue light. And you'll find a guide for how to put the blue light filter onto your phone. But then number two, you can get, I know Tyler, are your glasses just readers or are they prescription?
A prescription. So I think they automatically come with like some blue light blocking.
Well,
I think
Canada. Okay.
you don't remember. I feel like they did, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I know here in the US, I had to pay extra, but it was like $6. So if you've got prescription glasses, the next time you're due for new lenses, ask, hey, is there any chance I can get the blue light filter put on these? It's a great way to make sure that you're filtering that out. And you can tell if it's real or not, because as soon as you lower it down, your yellows will actually get more yellow. And then as soon as you put the blue light on, there's like a little bit more of a green tint. So like every time that I'm doing this, I'm going from seeing like kind of I don't know what this color is, but it goes from being this color to like, has a little bit of like a yellow tint to it.
Things just get blurry.
Yeah. So, and if you don't have prescription glasses or you wear contacts, you can pop on over to Amazon. And I think I got Nikki a 3-pack of non-prescription. They're just plain glasses for like $12.
That's not, yeah, you'll probably be good there. But yeah, I think this is probably one of the hardest ones for most people because of just how much of our lives are now surrounded by screens. And usually that's what we're going to do in the evening to relax, throw on a TV show, doom scroll, that type of stuff. And hey, maybe this is a good opportunity to do a little bit of a social media cleanse for yourself as well. I know Steph and I, we've gone through phases of that where, we'll just delete all social media off our phones and not even just have that there. And so it's just not even like a thing that we're thinking about. But yeah, I think this is where, we can maybe build some better habits of not staying up too late, not snacking, getting into a good book and doing some reading. There's so much you can learn out there, or, have fun with reading. I know that is one of my favorite pastimes. Like I've always have loved to read. Like I was the kid in like elementary school or middle school where I would bring my books with me to school that I was reading, and I would sometimes try and finish a test as fast as I could just so I could get and read my book. Like, so maybe that's where my grades were so good. But yeah, no, I think, yeah, it's important too, because I think there can be just so many better ways to just even relax before bed, right? And set yourself up just for another, a great sleep and to calm your mind. I know now, since we've kind of talked about this, like I've been really trying to make sure that for Quinn, we're turning things off at least an hour or so before bed. And it's that playtime. It's building Legos, it's drawing, it's coloring. And so it's more than, I think, too, just getting good sleep. It's kind of having more family time, being a little bit more present in the moment.
I'm so glad
a little bit more philosophical there, right?
Yeah, I'm so glad you bring this up. So I remember whenever Jesse was about 1, and Ellie never did this, but whenever Jesse was 1, he would start getting like an evening surge of energy where it was like he's trying to fight to keep himself awake. He's just, all he knows is just put the pedal all the way to the floor, just all gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
And I used to really enjoy that. And one day Nikki was like, hey, you wrestling around with him? Like it's revving him up. So I got curious, and there's actually a study on this, that whenever kids are exhibiting that kind of energy burst late at night, steer into it. Instead of trying to stop it and like calm them down, steer into it, because it's getting them tired. It's going to also be that connection point for us, especially as parents. So I love that you bring up that last hour for bedtime, because we do something similar. Our Ellie and Jesse go to bed at 8. There's barely 2 years difference between them. So they've got the same bedtime. They also are practically the same size. So we, what we do is we end up having kind of 2 of these 1-hour blocks most evenings, where starting at 7, kids, I mean, I think that they have tablets on Friday and Saturday, and that's it. We don't let them use tablets on any school nights. So usually it's just Friday, Saturday, but what we do is make sure, okay, TV is off, and especially this has been beneficial for Ellie. She's halfway through first grade now, and they've got her clocked at reading at almost a fourth grade level.
Nice.
So like 6 years old, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And she loves to read. So we'll usually take like 10 minutes, just we're all reading something. I'm usually reading something to Jesse. And I like it because it's that little extra connection for dad. One day we'll be playing in the yard, and we'll have that extra connection of I'm Baker Mayfield, he's Mike Evans, he's catching the touchdown, winning the Super Bowl. But now that extra connection comes as, okay, 10 minutes of just read something to him. And I love it because now Nikki gets 10 minutes to read or journal or do whatever quietly for herself. And Ellie's been using that 10 minutes for the last year just to read for fun. And there are times that she'll read to the dogs, because whenever you read out loud, you're also building more confidence in your speaking. So that's an important takeaway for parents is give your kids opportunity to read, make sure that you're reading yourself, and give everyone that break for the blue light, because now you're going to make sure that you're not impacting. So pineal gland is where we're getting the impact from on blue light, and that's where the melatonin hormone gets released from. So whenever we are reducing that, we're going to now have reading time. We're building that reading, but after 10 minutes, it's where I'll wrestle with Jesse. And since we've been doing that, I mean, he is out. Like, we put him down at 8:00, and unless he's pulling like I got to go potty last minute, he's good. He is done. He's out for the night. So not only is he sleeping better, it now makes it that we typically sleep better as well. So you're getting that blue light limitation for your kids. And then because you've already done blue light limiting for an hour for yourself, you're more likely to follow through, because that was like a practice round. That was like a practice rep. So you're reducing overall blue light exposure, especially in the winter, whenever, I don't know about you, but it's like dark at 4:30.
Yep. 4:00 here. Yeah.
I'm not used to that. I'm used to 4. It's like 6:00 normal.
It's a hard adjustment, dude. I've been living in the Pacific Northwest my whole life, and it's still never easy. Like, it's like, what do you mean it's 4:00 and pitch black?
So that is, that is my final component to this 3-2-1 is 3 hours before bed, stop eating. 2 hours before bed, stop drinking anything. 1 hour before bed, eliminate or at least filter out blue light. And that is going to be something that, look, the first time you practice this, you might only get one component of it right. That's fine. That sets the tone for what is your minimum expectation the next day. And once you get to a point where you're utilizing this method, this protocol for a week, I guarantee you're going to be able to see it somewhere in your life, whether it's, man, I'm not as tired whenever I wake up, or my workouts are better, or my energy is better, my mood is better. I mean, there's a lot of people that will report back, hey, my libido is better now because I'm getting better sleep. Like, there's so many benefits here, and especially in that last hour, if you're using that as time to read, time to play with your kids, you're going to see the relationships around you are also vastly improved.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think, and maybe for people like us who have maybe, we've just kind of lived this lifestyle for quite a long time. And so maybe we don't see it as much, but I don't like what I hear a lot from people is, just how much their energy improves throughout the day. As soon as they start eating a little bit better, they start getting some better sleep. And I don't think people maybe realize like how tired they are, because it just becomes such a norm for people, right? And, we have all of these stimulants nowadays to kind of perk ourselves up, right? And give us that energy that we might need. And so you start to do this kind of stuff, and it's like almost life-changing for some people, where it's like, holy crap, like I didn't realize how tired I was or how bad my mood was or things like that, because our body is just so good at kind of defending ourselves, right? Without us really even knowing until we make those types of changes. And it's like, whoa, okay, like I didn't realize how negatively affected I was until I started doing some of these things. In the notes, we did have an app, which I did want a quick touch on because it's something that I have installed on my computer, the F.Lux app. And so it is something that especially if you work on your computer, right? Like us, I would say it's something that you should for sure have, where you can set it to your location and it will automatically adjust your screen to help filter out and minimize that blue light depending on the day. And so definitely check that out. If you work from a computer and you don't have it on there, it just runs in the background and it'll automatically adjust with sunrise, sunset, and can really just kind of give you that extra little leg up if you're working later at night or something like that. Definitely check that out. And I think the important thing here is consistency, not perfection, right? There are going to be nights where it's like, hey, I do just want to stay up a little bit later and do a marathon. I just kind of feel that way. Great, do it. That's fine. We're really just going to be, maybe you do want a little snack before bed. Last night, there was some cookie dough in the freezer. Steph was working late. Quinn was down. I put on a movie and I was like, you know what? I want some cookie dough. I'm going to have some cookie dough before bed, right? And so it's not an all the time thing, but we're really just looking for that consistency and not that perfection. Certainly don't beat yourself up if you're not doing it every single night, right? It's just, that's not realistic. But it's that consistency that just is always going to build over time. And the more you can have consistency, the less these types of, times that maybe you don't do it, they're going to have less effect overall on you because of that consistency factor.
Absolutely. And maybe that's a good starting point for some people. I know for some of my clients, like we utilize the Trainerize app, and you can put habits, reminders, things like that. So I'll put that in 3-2-1 method for a lot of my clients, just for basically Sunday night through Thursday night. That way, if Friday comes along and, hey, they like to go out and listen to music, or they've got a regular date night with their spouse. Look, I get it. I'm married too. I want to make sure that I'm cultivating that relationship in addition to pursuing personal growth and keeping our health and fitness goals at the forefront for us. But sometimes you've got to make exceptions. And again, a lot of this just comes back to, a lot of people will also get the majority of their focus for their health goals during the week, and the weekend, it can be really hard and it can feel kind of overwhelming for some people if it's just, man, it's 7 days a week of, lower calories and I got all this cardio and everything. Look, if you're getting in the majority of your nutrition focus, you're getting in your cardio, you're getting in your lifting during the week, this is going to make those things better. Now, I'm not saying that you should have Friday and Saturday come around and it's, man, I'm eating Taco Bell at 2:00 in the morning while I'm going to try to get through an extended edition of Lord of the Rings. Like, no, it's okay to sacrifice one or two of these areas, but still keep some basic frameworks in. Ultimately, we're adults. We do what we need to do. We don't always do what feels good. To steal a line from, I can't remember who it is now, but adults do what they need to do. Children just do what feels good. We're adults here. We know what we need to do. So thank you all for listening. As always, you can follow us. I am at Pirtle Coaching on Instagram. Tyler, you are Tyler. Is it a double underscore?
The double underscore, yeah.
Yeah, somebody beat you to it.
I know, someone, yeah, because they don't really have a nice little dash in between the underscores, so sometimes it gets a little confusing.
So Mr. Tyler __ Wiebe over on Instagram. You can also check us out on fitbodinstitute.com. Wherever you are listening to, if you could do us a huge, huge favor, please follow, please subscribe, please leave comments. If you have any requests for episode topics, we're always open to them. So thank you all very much for your time, and I hope everyone's having a great week. Wait a minute. I need to leave with a life tip that I realized people may not be aware of. And this goes back to sleep. Sorry, I had this written down. Pro tip, whatever size bed you have, go a size up for your comforter. If you have a queen, go up to a king. If you have a king, go to a California king. If you have a California king, I don't know, do they make a Brontosaurus size bed? But
well, they do have bigger sizes, but I don't have that kind of money. No. Or get separate ones. That's what Steph and I are going to be doing, because we just got a king size, but we just have a queen comforter right now. But we're going to get separate blankets because she runs cold, I run hot. So, or you could do that.
Nice. Good suggestion. All right. This time for real. Thank you all for listening. See ya.
Bye.